Hello you guys, Big Hair Don't Care is back, aka Jada. So today I want to do a quick get ready with me. This was the final look, but I forgot to do an actual intro for the video. But we're going to be diving into 90 Day Fiancé, The Single Life. This is their newest season. I think this is season 4. They're about 2 episodes in, and there's quite a bit to talk about even though it's only been 2 episodes. So let's just dive right into it, shall we? Hopefully I'm not looking too pale on this camera right now. So first off, we have Debbie. I did speak about her. I think that was in 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way, the previous season before the one I just covered. If you guys want to check that out, I'll link it in the corner here. I did basically a kind of like a tell-all recap, I guess, for that season. And she, you know, in that season decided to cut things off with Osama. And we already knew that it wasn't gonna work. The fact that he was so adamant about going to the US and he was like, well, you know, I just really want to stay with you. Like, it was just more so a romantic thing. Oops. Ooh, I got it on my cap. It was just mostly a romantic thing when it came to Debbie, but Osama was like, listen, I'm trying to get to the US so I could be an artist. And I'm not talking about like no music artist, which is still kind of like, you know, trying to find a needle in a haystack. You probably are not going to find, more than likely, success in that area, okay? But he specifically wanted to be like a poet, a writer type of artist. Like, he didn't really want to do the music route. And I'm just like, the likelihood of you finding something, Osama, I don't think you really know the direction that the world is going in right now. It just shows me how naive you are. Clearly he was going to be relying on Debbie for a very long time when it came to finances. But either way, that's over and done with. Haven't heard from Osama at all. She is basically back in America. She's back in Georgia, where she's from. She's now trying to date there. I think she kind of is lying about her age a little bit. The person that she's now seeing, she basically said that she was maybe 10 years younger than she actually is. Something about her being in her 50s, but she was actually in her 60s. So yeah, I don't know with Debbie, like, if she's ever really gonna find anyone. I feel like she's a little too naive, if I'm going to be real, when it comes to believing in people and them being who they say they are. Also, she wants to open up a petting farm. I think it was with llamas or some type of animal. So yeah, I remember that much. But that's pretty much it with Debbie. So let's move on to John. So John is actually the brother to Patrick and brother-in-law to Thais, who is Patrick's wife. If you guys don't remember, I don't think I actually did a recap on that season of 90 Day Fiancé. I think it was before the 90 days. Thais and Patrick, I remember by the end of that season, when they did the tell-all, they were pregnant, and now they actually have their daughter. So now John is also an uncle. But now he's seeing this woman from Texas, but I haven't really seen John all that much yet since it's only been 2 episodes. So I don't exactly know what is happening, but you know, according to his write-up, he's seeing this woman from Texas, and now she is kind of pushing him in the direction of marriage and also having kids. But he never struck me as the type, if I'm going to be honest. He always struck me as the carefree brother, and Patrick was the one that was, you know, like, I'm trying to save up money because I want a family and I want to get married type of guy. So now that Patrick has that, now Patrick is asking John, like, do you think you would want this life? Like, would you actually be happy? Like, do you see yourself actually having kids? And even though it's a lot of work, I think a lot of people do find joy in obviously having a family. I know I definitely want to have one in the future, but just not right now for sure, because I'm still trying to, you know, achieve certain things before that happens. I just don't really see John. I don't know if he'd be happy in that lifestyle. So we will see where this eventually ends up going. I do not like how these eyebrows are looking. So that's John. Like I said, there wasn't really much to go on with John yet because I haven't really seen him all that much. So yeah, now let's move on to Tyray. So Tyray, we obviously know, was catfished by a girl, well, a guy named Christian who was pretending to be a girl named Carmela. Was catfishing him for years, okay? Not months, not weeks, Years. I understand how people get catfished, don't get me wrong, but I don't understand how people let it go on for so long. I would have been so suspect, especially Tyree, him saying that he went to Barbados to meet up with this person that is claiming to be Carmela and they never show up and you're still talking to them? Like, make it make sense, Tyree. I think according to him, that was his first, not real girlfriend, because obviously she ends up not being real, but that was kind of his first, in his eyes, real relationship. That definitely kind of made me a little upset because during that season of 90 Day Fiancé, I think that was the other way. He just was not accepting, and he even had to go meet up with this girl. She had no idea who the heck he was, and it was just really weird. He even tried to still be friends with her. It was just so awkward. So I'm glad that he is moving on with his life and he's now trying to date in person. Okay, in person, you guys. I'm so proud of him. I'm sure you guys are as well. Obviously, you don't want to rush into anything. Just because you haven't had a relationship yet and you're at a certain age doesn't mean you should just be like running into any and everything, because you could end up meeting some of the worst people in your life. He's also trying to, you know, better himself by working out. We saw him in the gym in one scene. So good for him. You know, I'm definitely very proud that he's taking those steps. But he did try to ask out one of these ladies that he'd actually met at like a family function or something, some type of family outing. And she seems pretty excited. I'm not entirely sure if she's really attracted to him. I think she's more so just into big guys. Like she said, she dislikes men that are a little bit bigger in terms of the physical attributes because they're more cuddly and they treat you better. I'm not entirely sure in terms of like, you know, attraction, if that's there yet. So the girl ends up unfortunately standing him up, we see, and he actually gives this woman an entire hour. He's waiting there. Even the waitress did her own little interview. She was like, I wish I could just sit down with him just so he wouldn't have to go through, you know, being stood up like this, because it's really sad to watch or something like that. And I kind of felt the same way too, because I really felt bad. I think Tyree is a really sweet guy. I'm hoping that that woman that he asked out has like a good reason for standing him up, because that's technically like what, maybe his first date even. I'm definitely very sad for him in that moment. I'm hoping that he doesn't get taken advantage of, but at the same time, sometimes things like that happen so that you learn your lesson, so that you know who to avoid. Let's say that. Let's see if we could do something. I don't know. Maybe we could do purple in the corner, and then like right next to it we could do like a little bluish color. So let's move on now to Chantel. So the family Chantel is now no longer a thing. I don't think the show is going to continue, considering that it was mainly based around Chantel and Pedro's relationship and or marriage, to be more specific. So now that that's over, I don't really know what they could continue with besides maybe Chantel's family, because they are kind of crazy. I'm not even gonna lie, especially her mom. Lordy, I don't know how they was putting up with her this whole time. She is a lot, and I think she kind of started a lot of the unnecessary drama between Pedro and also Chantel and Pedro's family, even though I do think Pedro's family is also rather unstable. I think when it comes to Chantel's mom, that she could be a little unhinged sometimes. Maybe not on the same level as Lydia, but a little unhinged, let's be real. Now that I believe the family Chantel is over, Chantel is here on the single life, and she is trying to live her best life, it seems. She's very quickly going back into dating. Obviously, I don't know how much time has gone between her divorcing Pedro in that last season of the family Chantel and this filming of the single life. But either way, it does seem a bit fast, even if it is like, you know, a year or several months. I feel like she needs at least like 2 years to really let it sink in and process her feelings, because I just feel like she's going into this a little too quickly, in my opinion. Even though I do think that obviously close to the end of her and Pedro's relationship, I think this blue might be too bright. But anyways, in the very first episode, we see that Chantel is going on a friend's trip to Greece. And I think it's to pretty much get laid, because she, in the very first episode, was talking about how her and Pedro, leading up to their divorce, they weren't even having sex. So now she hasn't had sex for quite some time now. And yeah, so I think the whole goal of this trip is to get laid. She's looking to have a good time. Her friends are definitely pushing her to do a lot of wild stuff, like make out with this random guy that she talked to for maybe 2 seconds. I'm really worried as to where this is going. In the very last episode that we see, Chantel, I don't think she's fully processed, like I said already, processed her feelings when it comes to Pedro, because she starts talking to another random gentleman. And you could tell this man is seriously just trying to get laid, okay? Like, come on now. They're having this conversation about marriage. She asked him, like, oh, have you been married before? And he's just like, no, actually. And she starts talking about Pedro. But of course, she doesn't say his name. She just, you know, recalls like a previous marriage. Clearly, you could tell this guy is a little like, ooh, this is a little bit of a red flag. But, you know, I'm just here for some pom-poms. So let's just make this snappy. I'm just gonna have to put up with her talking about her failed marriage for a little while longer. And then we can get what we came here for. That's the vibe I'm getting. Okay, how is this looking? Very basic, if I'm going to be real. I feel like I need to put in a little bit of blue. All right, yeah, just a little bit of color, a little bit more color. But honestly, my main concern is her possibly bringing back one of these men, talking about she trying to get married again. You know, like, we just don't need that right now. I think she honestly is jumping into this single life a little too quickly, just in my opinion. Regardless, we're gonna move on from Chantel to Tim. And Tim, he's been on 90 Day Fiancé for quite some time. Okay, actually, let me not put my concealer on before I do my eyeliner. Hold on one quick second. I can never talk and do my eyeliner at the same time. I apologize. So I'm just gonna come right back. So like I was saying with Tim, he's been on 90 Day Fiancé for quite some time now. I know they love to have him on like these little panels that they would have whenever they would have like the tell-alls. They would just have him as like a background commentator of sorts. And it's usually alongside his ex-fiance, Veronica, because for some strange reason, they're still friends. This sponge is looking crazy, so please ignore it, okay? I need to get another one. I've never actually seen his episodes when it comes to 90 Day Fiancé. The only time I have seen him is when he is commenting on other couples. But this is the first time I'm seeing him actually, you know, go out and try to date people. He's a little awkward, but I think he is ultimately trying to get over that. He does meet up with a woman that he, I believe, was already seeing or talking to at one point, and they reconnect. It's very awkward because you could tell that she's a very affectionate person, but he's not. He already said that he is more of like a slow crawler when it comes to the affection part of the building of the relationship. So I don't know how that's gonna work, because whenever you have people, obviously opposites attract, but I feel like whenever you have people that are so different from each other in the aspects of how they show affection, it could be an issue. I think the communication part and all that type of stuff, I think that could develop, but when it comes to the affection, that could possibly be something that could make or break a relationship. So y'all let me know how y'all feel about that. You could clearly tell that they might have some issues ahead. But let's go on to Veronica. After a number of years of being single, she's now ready to find someone. And in this season, she's now seeing Jamal. Okay, and if he looks familiar, he is actually Kim, okay, as in Kim and Usman Kim. That is actually her son. How the heck he ended up back on this show is beyond me. But I guess they had some type of connection. But ciao, I was like, my guy, this looks a little weird, okay? But unlike his mom, he's not dating someone from another country. They are in the same country, however, they're in 2 different states. So technically, it's still a long distance relationship. And he's saying that he's more of an in-person type of person when it comes to communication. He likes to communicate face to face. But it baffles me, y'all, why people that know they like face to face contact, why they find themselves in all of these long distance relationships where they know they can't be face to face with the person all the time. because you in a long distance relationship. Make it make sense, please. For me, make it make sense. So Veronica is trying to present to him like, we need to have better communication because you tend to ghost me a lot. And he's just like, I just like face-to-face conversations. But at the same time, it's like, y'all can't be face-to-face all the time. So how are we gonna figure this out? But anyways, I don't know where this is going to end up going because they also have to deal with the, the age gap, which I think is kind of hypocritical because Jamal was the same one coming after his mom for going after someone who was clearly a lot younger than she was. Now you're that man. You're that man pursuing a woman that is a lot older than you are. So I think that's kind of funny. And I gotta be honest, I don't really see it working out. More than likely Tim, considering that Veronica and Tim are still friends, even though they were ex-fiancés, they are still in contact with each other and still want the best for each other. And I think at some point Tim is going to be meeting up with Jamal to kind of ask him some questions, see what his goals are, how this relationship is really looking and shaping up to be. And I'm pretty sure he's probably going to give some not asked for advice, but it's probably going to need to be said if it's coming from Tim. So I'm looking forward to it because Veronica does strike me as a little delusional. So far, I haven't really heard her talk much yet, but based on what she has said so far, a wee bit. I'm gonna try and put on my lashes and talk at the same time. We're gonna see how this goes. So now we're gonna move on to Natalie. So Natalie is coming from the Ukraine. I think she's the only cast member on this season, at least, of The Single Life that is from another country. She's not American. And after her failed marriage to Mike, which I still don't understand what the heck even happened, why they even got married in the first place is beyond me. But what happened after they got married is still confusing to me. But I remember that she had a lot of issues with Mike's mom. And of course, Mike, you know, he would always take up for his mom and take her side. But at the same time, a lot of the things that Natalie would have issues with, it was like, girl, are you making this stuff up in your head? I think Natalie is a little unhinged, if I'm going to be real. I think at one point she was actually considering trying to get back with Mike after being on The Single Life for a bit. She was, you know, kind of putting forth the idea of trying to reconnect with Mike, and Mike's just like, I don't know about that. Okay, y'all, I might need to do my lashes off camera as well because they are not behaving, okay? So give me a second. So now that I got these lashes on, we can talk again. So after this failed marriage to Mike, she's still in the US. She, of course, is now in a new relationship with this man by the name of Josh. And her mom actually comes, more than likely it's just a visit. Either way, she finally was able to come from Ukraine to come and see Natalie. And of course, Natalie is very ecstatic about that. But right after her mom comes in, she's now packing up to leave to go to LA. I think she's now considering looking at acting pretty seriously. But the thing is, I don't know if anyone's kind of sat her down and been really honest when it comes to the acting world. It could be interesting. I don't know how that's going to play out for her. And she's also had to sell her car to even afford the tickets to come over to LA. So she kind of comes over to LA with nothing, and she's expecting Josh to kind of handle everything. But Josh, you could tell, is uncertain about their relationship. I can understand why, because after seeing what went down between Natalie and Mike, I think Natalie is really erratic in terms of the way that she moves and does things. She doesn't really think things all the way through sometimes. So I can understand why Josh is just like, I'm a little concerned. And also now she's trying to look for apartments. She's trying to ask him if he would come on and sign with her. And I'm like, if I'm putting my name on something for another person, like, I really gotta trust you. And I don't know if the trust is there for these two, if I'm going to be real. Also, when it comes to Natalie's mom, I think eventually she meets up with Josh, but she already kind of has a bitter taste in her mouth, mainly because Josh didn't come and pick them up from the airport, which I think that's something that he probably could have done, you know, at the very least, to kind of make a good first impression. So I'm kind of with her on that he could have at least done that. So now we're just gonna put on some blush. This is honestly my favorite blush now, y'all. I really want to try some liquid blushes. I've seen a lot of people rave about the Rare Beauty ones and also the Juvia's Place ones. but they're really, really pigmented, both of them. So y'all let me know what shade and all that y'all think would probably work best with my skin tone if you tried it. But yeah, I'm thinking I want to definitely look at getting, you know, some liquid blushes at some point. But back on to Natalie. I think she's very erratic, so I could understand why Josh is just kind of like, I don't know. And Natalie, you could see, is getting very frustrated. Okay, hold on one second, I got a spray. Natalie is getting clearly very frustrated with Josh because he's not really committing to some things that she would want him to commit to. But at the same time, I feel like it's kind of unfair, the position that she put him in, because now it's like, okay, well, I didn't really ask you to move to LA, but now you're wanting me to sign on an apartment for you. You want me to do this, do that, and put a lot of my livelihood on the line. But it's like, what are you bringing to the table? Honestly, I know a lot of people probably gonna hate that question at this point. It's a necessary evil, okay? Like, it really needs to be asked. Like, how am I going to be sure that you're not gonna just bounce on me after I do all of this for you? I need to be sure. So I just really don't know how that's gonna turn out, but that's pretty much it. It's been a pretty eventful 2 episodes, but I am a little bit worried about quite a few of them, okay? I'm worried about quite a few of the people on this show this season, but y'all can let me know how y'all feel about it down in the comments. I'm gonna try and rip off this hair cap real quick. I actually did some soft curls. If you guys have seen that, I've been seeing a lot of videos going around of people kind of blow drying their hair or straightening it, and they would just put like a sock on it and just wrap their hair around it and keep it in overnight. So I'm curious to see how this is gonna come out. Y'all, the hair is big, okay? The hair is definitely giving me 70s vibes. If I'm gonna be real with y'all, it is giving 70s. I'm probably gonna end up putting these in like twists. I have like a style that I wanna try and do on my hair. I think I should succeed at it. It seems simple enough. Issa Rae did it, so you know, I might end up doing that. I'm not mad at it. I think it'll probably be better if I did this on straight hair, but yeah, I'm not mad because I could still do quite a lot of styles when my hair is in a blow dried state. So I'm not mad, but at the same time, I know this isn't gonna last past today, so that's why I'm just going to be putting it in twists and doing another hairstyle for the rest of the week, because yeah, this is not gonna work. I know my hair too well, and I know the weather here too well. So yeah, y'all let me know your thoughts on these couples down below. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.